Orioles Spastics is a member of the Baltimore Sports Report Network. Find more podcasts like this at baltimoresportsreport.com.
Something magic happens every time you go. Make the magic happen. Make the magic happen.
Heyo, it's the Orioles Spastics, the official Arrested Development themed podcast of the BSR Network. I'll be your host this evening, Dean Eastlake, and I'm joined by Charlie Hoppus.
Hey there, Dean. How you doing?
I am just peachy. I am also joined this week by a special guest, but also founding member.
Back.
That's right, Chris Knightsey. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? Been a while. Been about 2 weeks.
I was
2 whole weeks.
I was so
Hey!
hopeful. I was so hopeful that Chris was going to say it's Brittany, bitch, which would have been so much better.
Oh, great.
Unfortunately,
Now I have
not.
some editing to do.
What? Because whenever I say bitch, you have to bleep it out.
That was a well-timed beep there. Also, a special shout-out to our sole listener in Kyrgyzstan.
It's Kyrgyzstan, Dean.
Charlie, our resident expert in all things pronunciation. If you are listening to us this moment from Kyrgyzstan, we implore you to email the show, oriolespastics@gmail.com. You can Twitter us at oriolespastics. You can Facebook us, facebook.com/oriolespastics. Is there anything else? I mean, you can do all kinds of things.
They're
but-
probably already subscribed to us on iTunes, and I'm sure that they've
there you go.
they've rated and left us a review.
A great review.
But we're ready to have you on the show.
We are so ready.
If they don't want to respond, we'll have to make something up. We'll have to come on with a imitation.
We
Yes.
will have
Fake
we'll-
Kyrgyzstanian.
How about this? We will
Kyrgyzstanian imitation.
have a special
Okay.
bonus episode if you, Mr. or Mrs. Kyrgyzstan,
Kyrgyzstan.
give us a shout out on any of those forms of social media. We'll set it up. You'll be
Kyrgyzstan news.
I mentioned this to a smart friend, and he mentioned that maybe it's a proxy IP address that someone
I
had
said that.
Yeah,
Okay.
bad news. It wasn't a smart friend. It was Chris.
Doesn't take a smart friend to figure that out.
No. A reputable smart friend also mentioned this, and it destroyed my dreams.
I
No,
just
it's
read this.
probably Kyrgyzstan.
It's got to be Kyrgyzstan. Also, we got a retweet by Kyrgyzstan News, so it's got to be real. Yeah.
The most annoying
Speaking-
people on Twitter.
They are really bad. Don't follow Kyrgyzstan News. It's not as exciting as it sounds. So speaking of not being that exciting, Exhibit. We shouted out to Exhibit. Did you not, Charlie?
Yeah, I tried to tweet at Exhibit and ask him to have an interview with us after our last Pimp My Ride mentioned podcast last episode.
In your car.
In your car. And, I told him that we could pimp his ride. He could talk to us about his love of the Bluth family and the stair car. He could try to pimp the stair car.
Oh.
All these requests went unanswered. Exhibit, a little bit too busy. His house did get broken into, though. I saw that on his Twitter feed.
Oh no! Was it the Orioles Spastics trying to send a message?
Did he
No.
put stairs inside of a stair car?
I heard that you
Stairs in your stair car.
I heard that you guys have a stair
car.
So inside your car, I put an escalator. Now you have stairs that never end in your car.
In your car. Well, that's probably good. I
That-
mean, that could
that
probably be
slap
season 5
in the back.
of Arrested Development.
So does it look like Exhibit runs his own Twitter account, or do you think he has like a PR person running that?
He certainly does.
He runs his own?
He definitely does.
Awesome. Let's just keep spamming him.
Oh, very
Speaking
good.
of other things that aren't Arrested Development or Orioles baseball, Chris,
Chris?
Me? I'm not any of those.
You had a ultimate frisbee tournament this weekend, as
Oh
you saw.
yeah, I returned to my native land down in Maryland. Well, Virginia, close enough. It's
not
closer
that
than New
close.
York. Closer than my current.
Depending on what part of Virginia.
It was Northern Virginia.
Okay.
Pretty close.
Okay. The
Yeah.
DMV.
So how did Pride of New York, aka Pony, do?
AKA Pony. We did pretty well. We went 6-1, lost in the semifinals.
Dang.
So another third place not a victory, third place finish. So that's 2 in a row. But we're doing really well overall. So
Wait, 2 in a row? That's the same as the Orioles.
yeah, glad to have all the support of Spastics Nation out there.
Spastic Nation, they just love ultimate frisbee, and they love when we waste like 5 minutes each podcast talking about it.
And
That's what they're here for.
And retweeting.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely retweet Pony's Twitter account. No one has any idea what it means.
It doesn't
Whenever
matter.
they mention Chris, I'm just like, up retweet.
Any crossfield hammers to inadvertent layout grabs for points?
No hammers to in cuts this week.
But I did get a point block, but that means nothing to the
Hey.
out there.
I like it.
retweeted it.
Yeah.
So it might mean something. It might mean that they've now been annoyed by that
I'll
twice.
understand that one. A hand block, point block. What does that mean?
Yeah.
All right. Well, last week, Charlie and I, we had a podcast. Don't know if you listened in there, Chris. Probably not, but that's okay.
No, I did. I listened to that. Wait.
Okay, well then you probably heard some ridiculous claims that Charlie and I made. Well, maybe not so ridiculous, but I'm going to give both of us the opportunity to sidestep those claims. Charlie, he said, basically, if second base is a kind of a black hole in our lineup anyway, that we really shouldn't be giving it to B-Rob. Charlie, your explanation and rebuttal, what do you think about that now?
I've made a huge mistake.
Oh.
I've made a huge mistake. This is one of the happiest mistakes I've ever made. B-Rob is suddenly the best player on our team. Tonight, as we're recording this during the Rays game, he is leading off for the first time in recent memory. But he's been by far our best hitter. He's
500 his last 7 days.
Since that got recorded, literally.
Yeah, no, literally when it started. 1,200 OPS. He's crushing it.
I will say this: while I said
6 RBI,
while I said last week that
5 BBs.
All right. While I said last week he also had
2 Bs.
Quit calling him that.
0 SBs.
Don't call it that. If anyone gets that reference, I'll be so proud. The one thing I will say in defense of myself is that I last week said that Brian Roberts probably will not be in Major League Baseball in any sort of real capacity next year. So I may or may not be right about that. I have no idea. I hope that I'm wrong.
Right.
Because
but for now,
it's not terrible. Yeah, it's not
let's
a terrible
just enjoy
claim.
it now.
I love him, and I hope that he continues to hit like this for the rest of time.
Hey, football tie-in, Michael Turner still isn't on an NFL team, to my knowledge.
See, for example, it can.
There you go.
Life comes at you fast. But
there it is.
Something that I did say that Brian Roberts does really well is he has...
Exhibit no longer has a show on MTV.
All right. So the thing that Brian Roberts does do really well is that he has great at-bats. He takes a lot of pitches, sees a lot of pitches, fouls off pitches that may be close, but maybe not, fat pitches that he can drive. He has good at-bats. Also, he seems to perform well with runners on base, which not a lot of our team does. I did say that, so I feel slightly vindicated. Very slightly, because, oh my gosh, I said he should be out of baseball, and then he became our best player.
Happy mistake.
Speaking of things we said last week, though,
yep,
you said that Jim Johnson should have a shorter leash in terms of...
And I was right.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you were correct. It would have been awesome if we were both wrong.
I was kind of right. I was right. I thought that he shouldn't have a shorter leash in terms of job security, that he should keep the job, just take him out after those first 5 pitches. But both of those things should be true. He should just not have a leash is what it comes down to. Each save opportunity that he doesn't have it's pretty obvious within those first 5 pitches, but it's also pretty obvious that his job should not be safe. he should have the shortest leash. And right now it should be K-Rod. Everyone's been talking about this. I don't want to beat this in the ground anymore. We'll see what happens with the next save opportunity. I guess.
I just want to say that I prefer a closer that if they're going to blow the game, I prefer them to give up like a home run. So K-Rod fits that description, along with Tommy Hunter, Tommy Big Game Hunter. Those two fit that description of, if they're going to blow the game, they're going to blow it right away. So I
don't understand. Please explain yourself.
In spectacular fashion.
How is that any better?
Because I don't like suffering through someone walk two guys and give up singles and have to sit through all of that. I'd rather just, if they're going to blow it right away, with a big home run.
I think, here's what I think, though. I said this yesterday on the post-game show with Josh Soroka from 336, Section 336. I think that Jason Johnson, or Jim Johnson, wow.
Jason Johnson.
Super throwback. I think that Jason Johnson is the answer. I think that Jim Johnson.
Me too.
I think that Jim Johnson actually should almost still pitch in higher leverage situations, almost higher leverage situations than a closer has. By which I mean he has still a good sinking fastball when it's on, and even when it's not on, it's not usually terrible. That's not usually the problem. It's usually that it's getting hit hard. So it might not be the worst thing in the universe if he was pitching in the 6th or 7th, but coming on with runners on base. I almost rather see him come on with runners on base than, I don't know, Mattis.
Mattis, yep.
Yeah. Exactly. Even Tommy Hunter, who's been pitching a million times better than him. I like him and O'Day coming out with runners on base to try to get those ground balls. So that's actually, many would say, including myself, that that's a higher leverage situation. I just don't think anything's happening right now with his performance as a closer.
I see that. That's good. We're all in agreement, except for Chris, who wants home runs.
That's all I'm saying. If Jim Johnson knows he's going to blow the game, just give him
But he
a home
doesn't.
run.
He didn't blow the game. He just.
I'm kidding.
Game was tied up.
He just loves to just blow the save. Usually, it's only just one run. It's just one run.
All right, let's move past this. But before we do, who does everybody want closing?
So I'll say this. It's hard to justify it, but I was okay with in the offseason, the Orioles trading Jim Johnson and maybe putting Tommy Hunter in that situation. And I'm still kind of okay with if Jim Johnson can't get it done, I think I'd like to see Tommy Hunter.
That's right. In the offseason podcast that we recorded,
I was all about that.
We didn't air that, but Chris was all about that. He was first
all
on
about that.
He was also on the bench. He wanted to have Mark Reynolds on the team for the first 3 weeks and then trade him. And you were right on that, Chris. That was good. I think I want to see Francisco Rodriguez for the only reason that it's just fun to say.
Francisco, that's fun to say. Francisco.
Okay.
K-Rod, baby. Give me some K-Rod.
Yeah. I think the choice is, K-Rod or stick with JJ.
Yeah.
I don't think that
that's the choice.
I don't think that
that's the best you got.
I don't think it's closer by committee. I don't think that it's Tommy Hunter. I think Tommy Hunter should be used for more innings than just one.
It takes two for a committee at the very least.
Baby.
You got to take a choice. You got to pick one.
If a gun to my head, K-Rod, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. But if he stays with Jimmy,
just because he doesn't pitch the contact. That's the only thing.
Right. That's fine.
If we had see, this is what we should do is we should develop a drink for K-Rod. So Jim Johnson's drink is you just start chugging vodka as soon as he comes in because it hurts. For Francisco,
it takes so long.
Exactly, it hurts.
You shouldn't have to chug vodka if it's so long and painful.
No, that's the point. It hurts. For Francisco, it should be, I don't know, something.
Professional magician, do not attempt.
That's right. Well, maybe that's... I wish I could sound drop that, but the best is Job just chugging, Jameson trying to swallow the key.
He takes off his shirt for some reason.
It's not good audio, but damn, it's great video.
Our podcast rarely is.
Video killed the radio star.
Though, here's the thing.
Here's
let me segue to our next topic by saying this.
Settle in.
Story time.
This is not
Charlie.
too bad of a rant. I've had a couple.
We'll be the judges of
I've
that.
had a couple rants lately, but this isn't too bad.
Should I give minute marks?
It was tough.
All right, start.
It was tough to see Jim Johnson get booed when he came into the game at home after he blew those 3 in Arizona.
Yes.
It sort of brings up the question of sort of fan loyalty to individual players. We were so quick to boo people like Kevin Gregg, but
Wait, who is we?
as Orioles
Me.
fans.
Okay, Kevin Gregg doesn't count because I always hated Kevin Gregg before that, so that doesn't count.
The only thing he did well
This
was
is-
beam David Ortiz and then
This
throw.
this is what I'm saying. You can feel justified for booing certain Orioles, but Jim Johnson, he's never done anything but try his darndest and love pitching for us and say good things about the team and be positive and keep his head down, work hard. He's never been anything else but an Oriole. It's really hard for me to have watched our fans boo him coming into a game. Never mind that they definitely booed him after he pitched not so well in that game, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that? What do we as fans owe to these players in terms of booing? In my opinion, I have never booed an Oriole ever. I've never booed Aubrey Huff.
Wait. We were both there on opening day. I'm pretty sure you booed Aubrey Huff.
Oh, you're right.
No. He was going Aubrey.
You're absolutely right. I did boo Aubrey Huff after he called
Oh, wow, so
Baltimore
you're a
a
liar.
town. I
Oh.
stand corrected. I definitely stand corrected.
Yep, I remember that.
I booed Aubrey Huff.
Wow, you can't be trusted anymore.
But I've never booed any other Oriole, including
Well-
Albert Bell, including some terrible people that we've had. Never have I booed anyone.
I can't get down with booing Jim Johnson. The only time I can say booing a player is not for what he does on the field, but what something happens off of it or like what they say off of the field. I can't blame a guy for screwing something up on the field. Obviously, you don't mean to do that, but something off the field, then totally. So in that case, no, I don't think it was right to boo him.
This is just a can of worms with just fans in general. Some people feel that they deserve the right to boo because they're the fans. They pay the money of the salaries. They can really do whatever they want. I've booed one man ever for my hometown team, and that was Mark Brunell. And Charlie, I think we were both at this game with Herb when I forget what year it was, but it was the year that we finally brought in Patrick Ramsey, and the stadium. I feel like I was hoaxed into it, but everyone was just chanting Ramsey. It was the loudest chant I had ever heard, and I booed Mark Brunell at that point. But I don't see booing players like they're your team, they're your boys. They're gonna screw up, they're gonna suck, they're gonna be great, but like booing's for like A-Rod and for Derek Jeter and like
the other
David
team.
Ortiz.
Yeah.
You don't boo your own guys. It's just that's reserved for the enemies.
That said, I absolutely will say all sorts of smarmy things about the Orioles players. I'm very happy to point out every single time that Adam Jones has a 3-pitch at bat culminating in a swinging at a low and away slider in the dirt. I am so happy to point that out. I'm not happy, but I will do it every single time. But there's just a different level of while they're out there on the field, and I don't know, there's just something about while they're out there on the field in the moment, trying their best to focus on doing their best, to boo them it just feels so.
And you got to think, they kind of. I mean, they got to feel that too. Like, I mean, no matter what they say in the post game, if someone's booing for you, you don't feel good about it, and you're definitely going to hear it.
Especially Jim Johnson.
Yeah.
I feel like it's especially Jim Johnson because he is the lifelong Oriole. He is the guy that's coming in at the end of the game. He's really got to feel that because that's all on.
Yeah, like
he's got to feel like that's all on his
give you
shoulders.
Much confidence when you're going to close the game or attempt to close the game out when you have people booing for you.
Well, and here's the thing: we have the shortest memories in the world. If we're going to boo somebody
where were we 2 years ago
that won that shut down 51 games for us last year, that's to me it's sort of inexcusable. He's doing his best. He pitched well for stretches of the season. I don't think he should be the closer anymore. I don't really have any sort of problem saying that, but I do have a problem booing him. I had a problem with people booing Pedro Strop. Pedro Strop was a huge part of my favorite Orioles team that's ever been. And booing Pedro Strop just was. I understand that it's your money and you paid a ticket and everything else, but you paid to see a sport where your team, if they're a great team, still loses 62 games. I understand people's feelings on the matter, but it made me. I'll just say this: it made me sad and a little bit disappointed in that reaction. If you're one of those people booing, you're absolutely right. It's absolutely your opinion, and you're allowed to voice your opinion. But
we don't have to agree with it.
It made me just sad for Jim Johnson. It just sort of just bummed me out. Anyway, I wanted to say that.
All right.
It was
poor
sad.
Jim Johnson.
I mean, as sad as he has made us, I don't want to make him just as sad. I'm sure he's pretty bummed out that he's blowing saves left and right. Also,
it's not like he feels bad about it.
Does he get back to that role by the end of the season?
Yeah.
I don't think Buck's going to take him out. So, I mean, I think he stays in the role the whole season. Anyway, he needs to start pitching better because of our next 39 games, including the game that's airing right now in front of us, which is 2-2 in the fourth as of the present moment.
Thank you for that update, because I am blind.
2-2 in the fourth. And weirdly, we're leaving runners on in scoring position again and again. But never matter. We have 29 of our last 39 games remaining against AL East opponents, 3 of which are in contention. And if you just think that the Blue Jays are complete pushovers and won't play us hard, which I don't think, there are going to be some of the tougher games. Actually, now it's 3-2 because there was just a huge home run. We're losing. But 29 of our last 39 games are against division and wild card contenders. So 9 against the Red Sox, 7 against the Rays, 7 against the Yankees, 3 against the Athletics, 3 against the Indians, and then we have 10 games against teams that aren't going to make the playoffs, but 6 of those are against the Blue Jays, and 4 against the White Sox. Each game is going to be super important and exciting, and It's going to be good.
This is what we've wanted as fans for 15 years, just a meaningful end of August, September. That's all you can ask for.
You know you want it.
So what do you think? Are we going to pull it off?
Are we going to pull it off? What are we, like a game and a half, 2 games back?
We're
What?
3 games out of the wild card
I thought it was 2.5.
and 5 games out of first.
But we have the 3 games against the Rays here. So I don't know. I think after this series, if we happen to just, tank this series, it's going to be really, really, really tough.
The biggest thing, and I was saying this also on the post-game show yesterday, because all these teams are going to be playing each other, I don't know that there is just a win total that we can just point to and say, oh, this is what's going to win the AL East because all these teams are just like so hot. Because for the whole last month, basically, one of the teams is going to win and one of the teams is going to lose, and they're not both going to be winning at the same time because they're playing elsewhere. There's so much AL East interdivision games that we might see the AL East not get a wild card at all because they're beating up on each other so much, and something silly like 88 games might win the division because there's just so many interdivision games.
Is that across the league that's interdivision at the end, or is it just us?
I'm not really too sure. I know that the AL East is. I also know though that no matter what, the last game of the season, somebody's playing interleague because there's 15 in each league. So 2 teams are playing interleague baseball.
See, that's silly.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, they should just really make a balanced schedule so we don't have to play all these.
Balance the schedule. Don't worry about interleague play, and go back to the old days.
Well, they have to worry about interleague play because there's an odd number of teams in each league now, which they for some reason did. Anyway, so the point is there might be only one team to make it out of the East. I don't think so. I think that there'll be 3. But it's very possible that there's only one, and therefore I don't know that we can point and say we need to win, this many. We have to win 92 games, which means we have to go, blank and blank down the stretch. I don't think that's. I think that we need to look at, this is who we're playing. Right in front of us, we're playing the Rays, and we need to take 2 out of 3 in this series. Take 1 out of 3. Well, we've got to make that game up somewhere else. We've got to sweep somebody else later. We got to sweep the Rays later. And if we get swept, I mean, we're in trouble. It's not quite panic button yet, but I mean, we don't really have a whole lot of margin for error if we get swept in this series. We've got to go on a serious.
It's a true race. It's a true race. We're not just an individual team trying to hit a mark. We're literally racing against these other teams. Yeah, it's cool.
Literally.
I like it.
It's exciting.
It's like NASCAR, man. It's like NASCAR
America's
coming
sport.
around turn 3. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Have you seen?
Wait.
Have you seen?
But now they say racers because of Danica Patrick. We at Orioles Spastics are also going to cover in-depth NASCAR.
Analysis.
This
Off-season. Off-season NASCAR analysis.
Here's an update. Tony Stewart out for the season. Mark Martin will be driving his car for the remainder of the season.
Was it Mark Martin? I think Mark Martin's in a different car.
Mark Martin was the Viagra guy, right?
Nope. You're wrong. He was back in the day. Mark Martin was my boy.
Yeah.
I know that.
He's an old dude.
I
Don't
don't
get me
want.
riled
I
up
literally
against
can't
NASCAR.
talk about this right now.
Let's do it. Let's talk about it right now.
Let's.
This is the sound drop. NASCAR.
NASCAR. Nasty Nastics.
Let's instead.
Instead, let's talk about something else.
Let's
Actually,
talk about the Orioles.
The Nastics.
the Orioles. Let's talk about
Baseball.
Let's talk about what has happened this past week. We don't want to talk. I mean, maybe we'll talk closers a little bit. I feel like that's all anyone has talked about for the last week. Our podcast, our last one came out like before the huge debacle, and then everyone else's came out talking about the debacle, and now we're starting anew. It's anus tart for us.
That's pronounced.
So let's
start.
A new start. So let's look at the week that was, and we can start with the happy, and let's start going into our solid as a rock performances of the week.
Yeah. Solid as a rock.
Oh, hold on. Volume button.
There we go. Yeah, so our solid as the rock hitter of the week.
Solid as the
solid
rock.
as a rock.
Solid
I never
as
said the
Iraq.
rock.
As Dwayne Johnson. Is that his name?
Solid
Dwayne.
as a rock. We got Charlie's second baseman of the future, Brian Roberts.
Future. For years to come.
Yeah, Brian Roberts. What he 1,200 OPS, 10 for 20, two doubles, 5 walks, and 6 RBIs. So once you listen to that last Spastics episode, Brian Roberts has really turned it on since then. Really lit a fire under there.
Sorry, I said all those mean things about you, Brian. I really want you to do
Thank
well.
you,
No,
B-Rob.
keep it negative.
I mean, The solid as a rock pitcher of the week is Scott Feldman. He had 2 starts this week. He had 12 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 12 strikeouts, and that works itself out to a 2.25 ERA in those 2 starts. If you remember, the first start was a little bit rocky. Didn't pitch all that great, and I think that's sort of what separates our rotation from the rotation earlier this season is that Feldman and Norris, they're not quite as combustible as Sweaty Freddy and as...
Ooh, combustible. That's a great word.
They're not as combustible as Sweaty Freddy. They're not as combustible as Gosman. They're not as combustible as Jake Arrieta. Even when they pitch poorly, they seem to wiggle off the hook enough and still give us a chance to win. Really, Feldman had a rough start in Baltimore, but over the last 4 or 5 starts, he's pitched, about as good as you can hope your number 5 starter to pitch. Last night's game, or for you all, Monday's game, he was really on a roll. Only had 2 hits through the first 6 innings. Slipped a little bit there in the 7th, but was just really a couple pitches away from giving us a really deep, solid start. And still only 1 run allowed, 6 1/3. So pretty darn good.
Pretty good. And with this new young emerging star, Brian Roberts, it leads the question, is Scott Feldman the new
Mr. F?
Ooh.
No.
Is
Maybe
there
not.
I'm not ready.
brewing.
For the Mr. F crown.
Not quite.
I think I think that Flaherty acquitted himself well at shortstop the last couple games.
Yeah, that's true. Oh
Hey, you
man,
guys,
that was great
you
to
guys
see.
think we should lock that Roberts guy up now for a couple years?
All right.
Probably a couple
I'm
years.
done with
I mean,
it. No more Brian Roberts. No, I mean, yes, more Brian Roberts, but no more talking about what a terrible decision I had. I made a huge mistake.
it's okay. We all do. Speaking of making huge mistakes, these guys, not that great. We'd like to forget those performances.
Easy to forget. It's so easy to forget. Stupid forgetful Michael.
Hopefully Job is shoving a forget-me-now down our throats for these last few performances. Chris, why don't you start us off?
So Nate McLouth, not been so hot lately. Been 2 for the last 22, at least his last 7 games. So he hasn't really done anything in the last week, especially from your guy who was, you're expecting to at least get on base to start off the game. Going 2 for 22 is not going to help out. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's just going through a little bit of a slump. And, hopefully he'll turn around soon, preferably pretty quickly.
At least one of the hits was a home run. That's all I got to say.
At least he has a terrifying picture of him with a dog. That's
Oh, my
floating
God.
around.
That was amazing.
That is so
I will
bad.
definitely tweet that back out.
He's a weird-looking dude without a hat on.
Yeah,
He's a weird
I
looking
don't know why
dude.
he has that haircut. Someone
Yeah.
should talk to him about his haircut. I'm sure someone has. He's in a major league clubhouse.
He's
Someone
got like
had
that American Pie, like the original American Pie version, like haircut, like that. He's got that flow, like the backwards comb.
Oh, dating yourself.
He's
Chris.
got this Chase Utley haircut, but for some reason Chase Utley looks like he's from the 50s, and Nate McLouth looks like a horrifying alien.
He looks like he's just taken up residency in Sudden Valley in season 4 of Arrested Development. When only the sex offenders have moved
Did you
in
have to
there.
explain that?
Sorry, Nate. Yes. Because not all people have seen season
they should
4 to
watch
my chagrin. Come on, people. Come
Max
on!
Soroka is like, oh, that's what that
So-
means.
Yeah. Nate, there's a lot to forget from you, buddy.
For the pitching side, the obvious answer is Jim Johnson. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Just to read over the line, 3 blown saves. He's given up a run in his last 4 outings. Well, 5 of his last 6 also. That's not good by any measure. But
That's not what you're shooting for.
if it was what you were shooting for, you should aim somewhere else. But I'm actually going to, since we've talked a lot about him, I'm going to be a little bit over harsh and give it to Bud Norris.
What?
He had
What? He's batting .667 in his last 7 games.
He was right behind Roberts for the hitter of the week.
Yeah, Bud Norris, way to
he
go,
had
bro.
he had a sort of a rough start, and like I was saying about Feldman, he kept us in the game. He went 5 innings, allowed 4 runs. That's not good, and part of the reason why our bullpen is so overworked is starts like that. Luckily, like I said, he ended up getting the win in that game, but that's not a good start, and we need to have better starts than that, or at least if you're going to allow 4 runs, go at least 6 innings. And then he also, in that marathon game, while everyone was calling for Chris Davis to come in and pitch, he was put in the very unfortunate situation of having to come in and try to extend the game in extra innings and was unable to do it. Hard to really fault him for being in that situation, but two outings where he didn't quite do things for our bullpen. One as a starter, one out of the bullpen, and Bud Norris is my hard luck forget-me-now player of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I applaud the effort of just ending the game right away. I mean, why drag the game out when you can just end it? That's all I'm saying. End it quick. Make it less painful.
Jeez.
I don't know,
There's
man.
a lot of plug pulling action going on over there. But, I mean, yeah, I know that's a little bit harsh, but I just don't want to talk about Jim Johnson anymore. And frankly, our lineup's been a lot worse than our pitching staff outside of the occasional bullpen implosion in that one game in Arizona and JJ. So,
Yeah. Let's move on from the end of our pitching staff and move to the starting of our pitching staff with one Wei Yin Chen. That's right, boys and girls. It is time again
Chen
for
tweets.
Chen tweets.
Why don't we
need a
have
song?
we need a song.
I'm waiting for the guy from Kyrgyzstan or girl
Kyrgyzstan.
to come on here and tell us what we should do for Chen tweets, because they'll
If
probably
you-
know. They're the only one that can probably relate
If
to
you
Wien
do
Chen.
if you're the person from Kyrgyzstan and you're not really from there and you're just using that IP, just when you contact us, don't tell us that and tell us you're from Kyrgyzstan. Say you're on some like work release program or studying abroad, or don't tell us you're not
There
from
you go.
there.
Studying.
Yeah. And if you have a good idea for some kind of sound drop for Chen tweets, we will gladly field that. So send that over at orioles@gmail.com. We'll definitely take that one. Chen tweets. I mean, do you have any context to give to this one, Charlie? I don't
know
think you've heard
this
this
one.
one yet.
I've
You're
not
used to the
been
context.
up on the Chen tweets.
All right, so Wien Chen, he tweets out things in Mandarin Chinese, and luckily we have Google Translate to tell us what that means in good old American English. So Wien Chen, on the 17th of August, writes, "Conditions are good, but... ... There is no way to do better. I should be better. No way to progress is regress."
Negative.
It's so
Negative
upsetting.
Nancy.
And at the end, it has at interpreter TL, which, as we all know, is Timothy Lin. But if you click on it, it says internal server error. So
What is that translated
I don't really
from?
know what to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what the character in Mandarin Chinese is for internal server error. That's such
I
an
don't
upsetting
know.
tweet.
Oh, wait, here we go. So Timothy Lin then tweeted at Wien Chen the same at the August 17th. He says, "Everything was good, but just couldn't carry it to the next level. I should be better. No progress means retrogression."
Wow.
Retrogression.
Which I don't think
Regression.
retrogression is an
It's
actual
so
word.
close, though. I actually think it might be. You know what? I'm saying that's a word.
Retrogression? Are you going on record?
I'm going on record, and if I'm wrong, it still won't be as bad as the time that I said Brian Roberts should retire.
Retrogression, noun, the process of returning to an earlier state, typically a worse one. Wow, I really would have thought regression would have worked well
I think
there.
that probably was what he was looking for.
We got
He used Google
retrogression.
Translate for that last word. I think that Google Translate might be better than Timothy Lin. I think if you just take Google Translate or maybe like Siri or something out to the mound with you,
Oh no,
Timothy Lin.
you want to call a man out
Timothy
like that?
Lin, unless he can start getting lefties out, I'm not interested.
He's in Darren O'Day's locker, and we need to get down to the bottom of that before
No,
we
they
really
already
figure out what to
said.
do with
They
it.
already. We talked about this.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Oh,
but there's probably something
there's
more.
jokes in the clubhouse.
You don't believe the jokes in the clubhouse story?
Oh, there's something more. Why would that be a fun joke? Exactly. Oh, that brings the end of Chen tweets. He's not that active, but boy, when he is, he's pretty good.
Oh golly!
So a new thing coming out through the Baltimore Sports Report Network that we've joined up with. After each game, we're trying to get members of the various podcasts that make up the network to they'll field questions from people out there. Charlie, is that how it's working? You've been on a post game show.
Yeah, I
How's
was
it
on
go?
after the win on Sunday.
A win. You were on after a win. You're 1-0.
It was right now the post game show in general is 2-1. That's pretty good. Although I guess we'll be able to add to that stat by the time you're hearing this podcast, either on late Monday, late Monday night or Tuesday morning or Tuesday night, whenever this thing comes out. As of right now, we're 2-1 from the present. All you future people out there will know better.
In Futureland.
But the Baltimore Sports Report live postgame show was a lot of fun. It's at baltimoresportsreport.com/live. You can watch the most recent one, and immediately following the game, you can watch a video feed of, as Dean said, people from the network coming on, talking about the Orioles, talking about the game specifically. And there's a great chat room, and we field your questions. Try your best to vent with you when we lose and celebrate with you when we win. Really, really, it's one of the more cathartic experiences. It's like a more personable Twitter. It's nice. It's nice.
Oh, very
So you
good.
should head over there if you're done watching the game tonight. Swing over. If you're just bored at work and you want to see what people had to say in the immediate aftermath, go over, check it out. I know that so far all the members of Section 336 have been on. Zach Willett from Baltimore Sports Report and Baltimore Sports Report's podcast was on. Jake from Bird's Eye View's been on, and I've been on so far.
Right.
So I'm sure everyone will be on at some point. I don't know when you guys are going to hit that
Probably
up.
not me.
Chris will probably never be on it. Why will you not be on it?
Because he doesn't
I'm never
believe
around.
that these other
I'm
people
busy.
exist. He's busy in Albany, man. That's the hub of New York State
Yeah.
government.
Chris will be on it.
He's got Spamalot to see.
So anyway, it's a great time. You should check it out. It's one of the many great things that's going on over on BaltimoreSportsReport.com. In addition to that, the network, as we talked about earlier, head over, listen to the other shows. If you're listening to this show and if you're listening to it this deep into the show and you haven't given up on it yet,
Yeah, well,
you
well done.
are a survivor, as Destiny's Child might
a
say. Oh
survivor.
wow,
I don't give up. I'm a work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm
it's
not
terrible
gonna
that all
give
three of
up.
us went to Destiny's Child instead of the Rocky song Survivor.
Who?
I'm not going to explain it to you.
How does that sound, Charlie?
No. So anyway, swing over, check out Section 336, Bird's Eye View, BSR, podcast, and Baltimoreans. All of them have just such different sounds to them, but great insights, great characters, funny to listen to. Good time to spend your.
And quite frankly, better than ours. Well,
We're the low hanging fruit of the podcasting community.
That's why we get all the hits.
Someone's got to go for it.
Baltimoreans, they're the highbrow. We're sort of we're a little bit lowbrow. I'd say, all the rest are just solid, thoughtful people.
Rock.
Solid
Solid as a rock. But anyway, check them out. They're all great shows. They're all worth your time. You've got basically about 5 hours worth of Orioles audio each week to take you through the week.
And don't stop checking, people out there. Check out our sponsor for Clothing Thoughts, which is brought to you this week and will forever be brought to you by OBP Apparel, the best in Baltimore sports fan apparel. Go there for the Orioles-themed shirts. You can get a Raven shirt and burn it. I'm down with that.
Can I just say really quick? I posed the question on our Twitter. So it's Redskins Steelers tonight, and I retweeted every response I got. I said, "Who you got?
Nice.
Ravens fans. Who you got? Redskins or Steelers?" And they hoped for asteroids to hit the stadium. They hoped
preseason game.
They hoped for significant injuries. They hoped for all these things. I know that you guys feel a little bit more venom towards the Ravens and towards the Nationals than I do. I just can't get pissed off. I was happy when the Ravens won the Super Bowl as a Redskins fan.
I was too, living in Baltimore. It was okay. It was fun.
So asteroids is just taking
Pretty sure that would be a
step
meteor.
too far. That's
my feelings weren't hurt because I know
Not
that
an
I know that a
asteroid.
lot of people feel that way.
Oh, okay. We have a clarification that it's meteor.
Pretty sure an asteroid.
Thank you for bringing that up,
yeah,
Chris.
Pretty sure.
Asteroids.
I
What's
was
the difference?
about the
One
proximity to
flowing
Camden
through
Yard.
space and one enters the atmosphere.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you have it.
That's great.
Is that your clothing
Thanks,
thought?
Clothing thought key, yeah.